Today on Therapy Business Guide, I'm going to share with you the 4 things I wish I knew before I started my private practice. I worked in community mental health and nonprofits for years before I started my practice, and I think that during that time, I saw private practice as such a daunting, risky task, and so I didn't think much of it stepping into that world. And I think honestly, it was just so overwhelming. There's so many free resources and information out there that sometimes I honestly just put my blinders on. So I wanted to keep this list short and sweet for you guys. That way it isn't like throwing too much at you too soon type of thing. But the very first thing that I wish I would have known was not to compare myself to other people, because I was in a bunch of Facebook like marketing groups and therapist groups and things like that. And I think because there's some people that they have an established network, or they're really well known in their community, or they're taking clients with them from their old group practice into their private practice, or people are, we're on a wait list for them or something like that. Whatever their circumstances are, there's so many people that their practice is going to fill up faster than yours does. And that's just part of it. And so if you're in that, if you're a unicorn that you fill up your practice really, really quickly, or some people have a wait list and are technically full before they've even opened up their practice, that is a rarity. And so for you, if you're seeing these people either at networking events or in a Facebook therapist group, or even if you're in a program or something like that where other people are sharing their successes and you're looking at them and you're like, dang, maybe it's my niche. Maybe I'm not cut out for private practice. Maybe I should be doing this. It's like, don't compare and despair, because we will all fill our practices at varying speeds. It gets really discouraging when you're looking over the fence at somebody else's yard instead of watering your own grass. You know what I mean? And if you follow marketing best practices, and if you are consistent with putting yourself out there and like being visible and letting people know that you exist and you're offering services, your practice will fill. It is literally just a matter of how long it's going to take for that to happen. And I think like in the beginning, I'll be so real with you. Like the first 3 months that I was open, I didn't see a client. It was crickets. Like I had a few inquiries, but then they never followed up. It was like, I thought, is this what private practice is like? Do people just ghost you all the time? And yes, sometimes, sometimes they do. But I just want you to not get so discouraged if you are looking on social media, or if you see other therapists, whether it's in person or digitally, where you see that they're doing great things or they are filling up their practice, and you're like, when is it going to be my turn? Your turn will come. The second thing I wish I would have known was how to prepare for tax season. And so my first tax season that came around, I ended up owing the IRS money. Like I had set aside money into a business savings account, and it just wasn't enough. It was such a daunting task. I didn't know that we are supposed to pay quarterly, right? So as being self-employed, we are supposed to pay self-employment tax and quarterly estimates to the IRS. That way we don't have a penalty at the end of the year. And so your first year in private practice, it really is just a guesstimate of what you think you will owe. The IRS has forms. There are a lot of resources, free resources out there for therapists about what tax deductions they can claim. But typically, ballpark, it's around 30% of your income. And so that number, right, that helps us to estimate, like let's say your first month in private practice, your first month seeing clients, you make $1,000. You should be setting aside $300 to pay towards your taxes. Resources out there like Herd. There are a lot of accountants, CPAs, and resources for therapists that can help us, one, know what deductions we qualify for, what the normal process is for preparing for taxes, which things we can deduct, all of those good things. So if it is foreign to you because you have never been a 1099 contract employee or self-employed, then absolutely the first thing you want to do is just get the knowledge around tax season, because now you are the employer and the employee, and that does come with a larger tax burden. The third thing that I wish I knew was just having a better financial understanding of what it would cost to start this business. So, a lot of people, I think, in the beginning, like there's some things that we really want. Like, we want the shiny, fancy website. Sometimes we want business cards. We want to be running marketing ads. We want an office space, maybe like a really nice luxury office. And I think that you have to decide for you, like what makes sense for your practice, if you're going to be in person or virtual. And some of the non negotiable things, like no matter what, you need an electronic health record, you need liability insurance. Like a website often can wait. If you are doing marketing with networking, with social media, with free resources, you don't need an actual website built out for you until much later, if at all, because you should still be getting enough referrals through these other channels. The last thing is kind of related to like all the expenses adding up, and that is knowing that all these decisions are going to be overwhelming and that we should take our time. So, there are so many decisions when starting our practice: what electronic health record we're going to use, if we're going to have a brick and mortar practice or we're going to be virtual, will we be a sole proprietor or will we start an LLC? Will we Will we be hiring clinicians? Is that something that we want to do? Do we want to run marketing ads? Would we rather just have a therapy directory listing? How we're going to let people know that we exist so that they can come through the door. There are so many bits and pieces. And I think that a lot of times, because it's so overwhelming, either people retreat and they're like, hey, that's kind of scary, that's a bit much, it's too much, or we rush through it. And it really does take us being slow and deliberate in the actions we take in making these decisions, and in order to build the practice that we want to have. And I think that it is better to build a solid foundation and be comfortable with the practice that we are creating versus rushing through a lot of these decisions. And then next thing you know, we're in hot water where maybe we don't have a financial plan, we don't have a business license if that's something that you need in your state. Maybe we didn't save money for taxes. Maybe we rented out office space, but then we didn't think about like, oh no, I need furniture and decor to have clients coming in here. Taking the time to consider what your values are, what your priorities are. That way you can intentionally build your practice. That is such an important thing. And I think that for a lot of us, it depends what we're bringing into our private practice. If we are, if we're unemployed and we need to make something happen really quickly, or if we're leaving, a stable income and we can slowly progress into private practice. But I think all those things considered, making the best decisions and not feeling like we're feet to the fire. Those are the four things that I wish I knew before I started my private practice. Let me know in the comments, is there anything that you guys wish you knew before you took that leap, or are you on the brink of starting your private practice and you're like, I have some unanswered questions? Let me know and I will respond to them.